Good evening. Hello, 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 and welcome to Brilliant and Branding. I am Angela Durant, and
I'm Eric Garcia.
and tonight we want to talk to you about websites. Are websites still relevant? Are websites still relevant? Well, I've got a certain perspective on this, and I know that my friend from Amsterdam has some perspective on it as well. We are excited to have you here this evening with us, and we welcome any questions that you might have. Please post them in the comments as we go through our sessions. We like to have kind of a chill, laid back conversation. Sometimes we're on the same side of the fence when we're talking about something, and sometimes we are not. Right? And to kind of tee this up, I'm thinking that this might be a conversation where we might not quite see eye to eye, but maybe we'll end up there. So Eric, do you want to go first? You want to present your first idea
Yeah,
or
well,
what?
I would say ladies first, but anyway, yes. As put last week, um, I might sometimes have a slightly well off standard view on things, and in this case, I want to focus on websites
Mm-hmm.
in the full breadth of the sense. And especially for entrepreneurs, organizations, is it still relevant in this day and age, especially with the advent of AI, as we have been
Mm-hmm.
what we have been talking about last week,
Mm-hmm. If you
and
guys didn't
yeah,
see that, if you didn't see the video that we did, the conversation we had about AI, you can go back and take a look at that from last week.
yeah. Well, after presenting my case, right, making my case, I would also like to give a few pointers on how to think about websites and how, especially
Mm-hmm.
about your own website and how to judge others. You're allowed to judge. And I am pretty sure that a lot of these things have never been presented outside of our small circle.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be some juicy things in there if you are a
Okay.
website nerd.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I would first say, of course, they're still relevant, maybe even more relevant than ever.
Mm.
And while you can prepare your case, I might have a few minutes to talk about where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us alive might remember the first websites which were very text heavy. You had these blue links, and there was a lot of text and very busy. The Alta Vista Yahoo websites that were very busy, a lot of stuff on there. Um, and we came from far, and now you have all kinds of flashy websites, moving elements. It's almost like a video show. A video has had its entrance, let's say, 15 years ago, and it's interesting to see how in this day and age people are still thinking, why would I need a website, and why does it need to be a proper website?
Mm-hmm.
And my first argument, and I hope you can, well, you can shoot on it, is y- we live our lives pretty much digitally as well these days. Especially
Mm-hmm.
if you are in business, people need to find you even if you're asleep or in a different continent, right? People need to you need to have some online presence. So online presence is the central thesis of my point is you need to have a proper online presence. Actively if you want to pursue something, passively if you want to be found or at least not to be misunderstood, because that's another thing. People might look for you, and if they don't find something, it's strange. If they find
Mm-hmm.
something very messy or very um, un unprepared, well, not worthy, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
they might also assume a lot. So it's both active and passively important to have a proper online presence, and especially where we might move from every year, every so many years from social media platform to other social media platform, you need to have your own, as they call it, online real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is yours and it will not change, and you have full, let's say, almost full control over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a contrast of all the other things. So you need your LinkedIn for professional reasons, but if you're doing something, if you're a business, you need to have your own piece of real estate, like you want to have a headquarters as well. Basically the same logic, and you don't want to have a shabby one, unless that's your brand archetype. Something we might talk about
Yeah.
next week.
Mm-hmm.
But on average, I think that's the most important thing. And I will elaborate on that. But yeah, maybe you want to shoot on what I had to say.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure like okay, she's over there ready to go. She's ready to jump in. I don't know if you guys play double dutch over there. You play double dutch? Do your kids
I,
jump double dutch?
I don't know what it is. So sorry, but I'm Dutch, but I'm only half Dutch. So sorry.
So that's when we're turning two ropes at the same time, and then the
Mm,
person who jumps in is waiting for their turn to get into the middle, the right time to jump in.
yep,
So
yep.
so I was just waiting for the right time to jump in. You said a few things here that really hit home with me, and that was people need to be able to find you, and you should have your own uh, online real estate. So I really like what you said there. I like the idea of that. But when I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking about whether or not a website is really relevant. And for the audience, we need to say, like, that's one of the, services we provide on our campus, right? So if you work with us, we can help you with your website. So you may say, but you're saying this, but I have a website. Eric has a website, right? We do have websites. But when I was thinking about it, for the people that work with, depending on the stage of business that the person is at, I'm not sure what I would advise them, because I was thinking about my own journey and whether or not I absolutely needed to have a website as an entrepreneur to make money. And I will tell you, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I can't say that the website didn't matter. So I know Eric's background, just so you know, I call him MacGyver because he can like fix anything. But he's also has background in law. He's tricky, so you gotta watch what you say around him because he can, he'll pounce. But so I can't say that okay, directly I have not made money from my website. Now Eric wants to do a whole new website for me. And I'm going to let him do it because it's time. I wouldn't say I made money directly from my website. I will say that the website does give you credibility, right? When people are looking for you, I think, Eric, you mentioned that. Somebody's looking for you, they can find you online, right? Like, let me see, who is this girl all about? Oh, okay, she has a website. Okay, she's legit, right? And I think if you're a part of our tribe or part of our community, you're probably 40 years or older. For us, we care about how we show up, right? We care. We want to make sure that, I said to Eric, oh, I need my lighting. I need my light. He's like, you look fine. I was like, no, I need my lighting, right? So we care about those things. But when I was boiling it down, I said to myself, number one, can I help a client make money without a website? The answer is yes, I can, right? Um, and then I thought about, well, how have I made money and not made it through the website, right? It didn't come
Mm-hmm.
through the website. And that was through speaking. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received from one of my coaches was, you need to be at the front of the room. I want you at the front of the room, right? And doing that helps build, you're already, naturally going to have the voice of authority in the room if you're teaching, you're speaking, you're doing a presentation. But that is at the end of a talk. If I've made an offer, that is a way that I've gotten business without a website. And
Mm-hmm.
once people hear you speak and they hear you're teaching them or training them on something, nobody has ever walked up to me and said, by the way, do you have a website? Right? Or if they have asked me for it, it's like, how do I stay in touch with you? Right? How do I find you? How do I stay in touch with
Mm-hmm.
you? Now Eric's like, that real estate online. But they sign the deal or give me a credit card or cut a check before they even saw the website. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so that I would say, is it necessary? Do you have to have a full-blown website? The answer I would say is no. You don't have to have it to make
Mm-hmm.
money. However, having it can boost your credibility, boost your brand, give you a lot more momentum, even if people don't make purchases through the website. Now, I know Eric wants to change my website because he wants it to be fully optimized. He wants people to be able to find us easily. And he wants me to be able to make sales through the website too. But because I was able to make sales without anything funneling through the website, I've always done it, in other ways. So I have to give it to you. I think for sure the online real estate is really important. It's important that people can find you if they're searching for you, because not everybody in the room, but I don't close 100% of the rooms that I'm in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some people are ready to buy right then and there, and other people are like, I really like her. I want to follow her online. I want to learn more about her. So let me go to her. They're going to search all the things, right? They're going to see where you are on social media. And in addition to that, they will probably look for your website. Okay. All right,
No.
Eric, I'm going to toss it back over to you.
Yeah, there's so much to say, and you trigger me. You trigger me with I still think that in the end we are analog beings,
Mm,
right? So the vibe in the room, I get it, and I think you're totally right with that. I'm going to make a very cheap, give you a very cheap rebuttal in the sense that you said six figures, but you could even you don't know if you could have made seven figures if you had a
mm,
different site or different setup, right?
mm-hmm,
And it's a cheap rebuttal, but it's a true rebuttal in the sense that you don't know. Um, what we also and people might have heard about is that you sometimes you need several touch points with someone or some brand or
mm-hmm,
something, right? Where it's a complex of things, right? They heard you speak, and they were whoa, and then maybe a day later they want to talk about your talk, and they want
mm-hmm,
to send people to somewhere, and they couldn't,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm,
Or they found something someone else wrote about you,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
So I want to pull it in a certain direction where I think that people can and oh, by the way, people needed to know you before they could book you to speak, right? So there is
mm-hmm,
also that, and and at the end of your talk, you also want to refer people to some place. You can find the sheets there. You can do this, right? So there's that too.
mm-hmm,
Um, so, but as I said, you as a professional, you need to curate your online presence, whether it's on a website, but also LinkedIn, all these other things. You need to make sure that whatever if people are looking for you, or the topic that you are all about, you need to be on the first page of search results. We're also going to talk about AI.
mm-hmm,
Chatty needs to mention you,
mm-hmm,
right? So how are you going to feed the algorithms? How are you going to feed the machine if there's nothing to be found about you,
mm-hmm,
or at least it's stuff that you didn't curate or you weren't even aware of?
mm-hmm,
Um, so that's the first thing. So your online presence, and there's analytics,
mm-hmm,
right? So whether it's Google Analytics or some other things where you can see, okay, how much time did they spend on the site? So you get all kinds of information that they would never tell you.
mm-hmm,
People might even land on your website totally out of the blue, right? I always say that 5 to 15% of your website's visitors is like, yeah, they might have also been landing on someone else's page, or they just came on it, and you would never have had it if they were not if you were only findable in that one room.
mm-hmm,
So there's that, and then there are also businesses that have a strong online offline combination.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if you would share, if you would, I hope we're still doing that at some point, sell merchandise, brilliant merchandise,
Mm-hmm.
then they could only buy it at the back of the room, right? Because that's the only place where they can order or buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of reasons why you want to have this off and online combination. And while you won't have that as a professional, you want to at least be in some sort of control or command of at least a lot of things that are
Mm-hmm.
to be found online about you. Because you might want to be offline, but it's somehow it feels, I wouldn't say arrogant, but it's a little bit ignorant in a sense that but other people are not fully analog, right? And so if people maybe we solve something for people and we are not allowing to find us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strange thing. So
Mm-hmm.
but
And
focus.
I guess
Yeah.
in this day and age, the expectation is that if I saw you speaking, and you're an excellent speaker as well, if I saw you speaking in the front of the room, I would assume you had a website. Like I wouldn't even question it. I would assume I would just start researching for you. So to your point, I think in this day and age, it is expected that you do. But I also want to say for people who might just be getting started out there, someone's just starting a business, to know that, and we can help you get up and running and all that, but I don't want that to be an excuse for not getting out there and starting, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you're right. It should you should not hold yourself back. However, at some point, it is part of the spiel of your just of being a presenter, an entrepreneur. This is just how you have to roll. You have to understand that you and others are also have an online presence.
Is that
But
how you have to roll?
you have to roll. But you and I, as you mentioned, you and I have also been in the rooms with other speakers, and then
Mhm.
you see people immediately checking online. Well, people are mostly on their phones anyway, whether they're listening or not,
Mhm.
right? So you want to make sure that there's always this combination of a mostly curated picture on and offline.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
want to say something about this online presence because, as mentioned, this goes beyond your own website. So one way of to think about it, and I haven't heard it as simple as it is. I have never heard it being said in this way. Think of it as the images of the solar system, right? Where the sun, you have all these like Venus and Neptunus, and well, whether it's a planet or not, Pluto at the end, right? You have them evolving around the sun. And I would say, as this is the only really your own real estate, where it's personal or your business,
Mhm.
you should see your website as the sun.
Mhm.
And you could even have analogies as like social media goes faster, so evolves around, and Instagram goes faster than LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is closer to your website. So you can really have that image of what are the circles that I need to at least curate myself,
Mhm. Mhm.
and everything should also in some way, shape, or form refer to your website. So
Mhm.
also a link in bio in on Instagram, right, should also point to your website. So you want to send traffic. It's a little bit of a nerdy word, but you want to send the traffic also to your website, to your own online real estate, right? That you can fully curate.
Mhm.
It's independent of the algorithms of LinkedIn, right? If someone is on
Mhm.
your website, that's something that you control.
Mhm.
So think of it as the solar system where everything evolves around your website as the basic presence.
Mhm.
And then I think the second point is how strategic is it for your business, right? Do you want to have just something that people land on, maybe a landing page, right?
Mhm.
Something that is just a one pager with this is my story, a nice picture, something, and your contact details.
Mhm.
I think that whatever you have should at least have three things. It should have some sort of a hero image, as they call it, with the essence of what you're doing, some a little bit of information. It needs to have a proper description of what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and it needs to have contact details.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Without these three things, without this trifecta, you better not do it. It's not because then where should they go, right? It should have
Okay, so
these things.
okay, so let me jump in there. So you said it should have a hero's image with the essence of what you do. It should have a descriptor, so it should describe what it is specifically you do, so it's clear when they come there, and that it should have your contact details so that they can get in touch with you. At
Yes.
minimum, it should have those things. So my question to you is this: can I just have a landing page that has those things? Why do I need a
Well,
full-blown website?
the of course the answer is it depends, right? You should have at least a landing page, and people will land somewhere anyway, right? So whether that's one thing or it's a whole bunch of pages that are meaningfully connected to each other, which is basically what a website is. It's a collection of pages. Um, so yeah, you should at least have something of a landing that's that's about you and has your name or something on it. But what I want to say strategically, it might also be that you have um, maybe if they want to book you for a call, or you want to have some sort of a Calendly link, you want to have
Mm-hmm.
something where they can book a free consultation with you or something, right? That's some sort of a conversion,
Mm-hmm.
as they call it, a conversion from visitor to
Mm-hmm.
a buyer, someone who has an appointment, or whatever it is that you wanna do, or you just have an e-commerce. There are multiple, well, millions of people who don't have a physical shop anymore. They just do their whole business is basically online. So then a website is um, yeah, crucial, right? How would you exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you sell out of maybe even if you sell out of your garage, you want to have a website to tell people where this garage is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or make a reservation or whatever. So strategically, it's also what do you want to do, and what do you want to do, and how do you want to leverage the on and the offline, your on and offline presence, basically.
I want to
Um,
I want to add something here about the simplicity of the website.
mhm.
One of the when you and I first met, and just for those of you who are watching and just meeting us for the first time, we've known each other since we met in 2020, right?
Yep.
During the pandemic, we met, right? And we were working on a global branding project together, and I was lucky enough to have Eric on my team.
Same here. Same here.
That's how we
Same
met.
here.
But when we decided, we got to know each other and became friends, we decided to, when we were thinking about working on a project together, I asked to see some of his work, some of the websites that he had built. And one of them was this, it was the coffee guy. Remember the coffee shop guy?
Yeah.
And I thought, immediately when I saw it, I thought, okay, I love his work. And it wasn't that it was, you know, all this stuff, like all this razzmatazz moving thing, all this. It was not. It was simple. It was elegant. It was all the pieces that needed to be there were there. It felt so user friendly. It flowed so nicely. The photography that was used was beautiful. And I just thought, I just loved it. Like I saw it and I loved it. I was like, you're totally in. Let's do this. Let's do this. Do you remember that?
I know, Ange, but you can keep going with all these compliments. So that's it's nice. Thank you. No, but thank you, and it's I'll go into that if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how to think about it. So one of the I wanted to mention something else first, but let me start and get into this. The way I think of it, and maybe everybody knows or has heard of this quote that's attributed to Einstein's like, if you can't explain it to an 8-year-old, you don't understand it well enough yourself, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in that same vein, I would say that as much as we think of ourselves as intelligent, we are also beautiful, and you and I. But let's say big, bold, beautiful was brave and beautiful. Um, Online, we behave like 8-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
right? We are easily bored. We are distracted. Um, we prefer pictures over text. We are very much spoiled. We're impatient, right? So just we want to click and go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever what I would always say is that whoever your client is,
Mm-hmm.
think of this, or audience, think of the visitor as an 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Going to a museum, and oh, what am I seeing? It needs to be not too flashy, not too busy, as I said, because it's this 8-year-old who can, well, read. They can technically read, but they don't want to, right? Or they're watching they're visiting on their phone, so it's also small, or they might be even driving or some sort, right? So that's where you need to cater to the 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And that means, for one, that it needs to be spacious. Things need to
Mm-hmm.
have their breathing. Elements need to have their
Yeah.
breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because as I said, you don't know whether they're visiting your website on a big screen, on a home desktop,
Mm-hmm.
or on a smaller screen, or even on a mobile. So you can't. You have to cater to all these situations. I might get a little bit more into that later, but so I would always say, whatever you do, always think of the 8-year-old. How would an
Mm-hmm.
8-year-old, if you have an 8-year-old at hand, just grab a man or her, or they them, and then let them say, can you work with this?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's always a great one. Um,
No, I think that's good because we're busy. We're juggling a lot of things, with work, clients, all the things. And we want to go there and get to the point. Like, what is it? What do they do? Like, how does this work? What do they charge? What do they offer? How can they help me? Right? We want to
yeah.
know all the things as quickly as we can, and know that it's something you can trust. So it has to be designed in a way that speaks to that, right? So, for example, the very first website that I saw that you did, immediately I felt like I could trust you. Like, I was like, he knows what he's doing, because it didn't feel it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't fussy. It wasn't like all this stuff thrown at me. It almost felt like each piece, each section, each area of content that you put there was specifically placed there for a client like myself, right? That it was specifically designed with a client like me in mind. And I, and it was like, when you talk about space to breathe, there was a lot of white space, and it felt good. It felt good going through it. I wanted to continue. I think I stayed on the web page, on the website longer, because I didn't have that feeling like it was cluttered and it was just too much going on. Things were moving and all. It wasn't all that, right?
Yeah.
If they were moving, it was smart. It was done in a really smart, sophisticated way.
Well, thank you, Edge. But I also want to mention something, that we are not here to sell our website services, so
Oh
that's why
yeah.
we're not going to share any of those sites with the audience
No,
tonight.
no.
The point is that there's a lot of things that are actually more strategic, that you can think about even without having a website. And
Mhm.
I would even argue you have to think about even before you start with your
Before,
website,
yeah.
or before you open up the hood, and on your current website. So
Mhm.
think about the strategic value of it for your brand, for yourself. The off and the online, a combination of things. Does it reinforce each other?
Mhm.
One other thing that I already mentioned is conversion, and here is
Mhm.
something where I will address that first. One other thing, when you said it's busy, right? By having a small, calm, very confident
Mhm.
website,
Mhm.
you already distinguish yourself over 80% of other websites who just want to buy me, but that are actually very inconfident.
Mhm.
So I would say that your website is one amongst many,
Mhm.
which should not it should give you confidence, or it should not matter. But I would say that for others who are visiting your website, it might be the first time that they are confronted with it.
Mhm.
And when it exudes calm confidence and composed, then that is already putting you up on a higher pedestal.
Mhm.
Just by before they've read a letter, right? They might already, oh, this person might be serious. And I think
Mhm.
that's a very easy win you can give yourself. So
Mhm.
now about conversion. So a conversion basically means from a visitor to someone with an appointment to something that you consider a win, so to say, a conversion.
Mhm. Mhm.
And most websites, and especially web nerds and SEO, we're going to talk about it, what it is.
Mhm.
They always talk about what's the conversion of your website. What's the conversion of your website? And then often some of these people might very proudly say it's 5%. What that means is that 5% from the visitors of your website bought something, made an appointment,
Mhm.
clicked more than 3 times, whatever the conversion is. That
Mhm.
also means that from the 100, 95 didn't.
Mhm.
And what I would say is that your website, beyond anything else, should not so much only cater to these conversions, but to the share worthiness.
Mhm. Mhm.
Would anybody who came to this website say,
Mhm.
even if they didn't buy themselves,
Mhm.
as we always say, they may not buy, but they can't deny that
Mhm.
what you're doing is
Mhm.
good, or you have thought about it, or you are this is a relief. This finally someone who understands it, or understands me, or is not talking only about themselves.
Mhm.
And these 95 that don't buy now are, as I would argue, sometimes even more important in the mid to long run than the one who just bought something. And you and I, we talk a lot about ambassadorship, right? To get people from unaware of you to ambassador.
Mhm.
And I would say that in this day and age where everybody can get AI results, but to getting a proper referral from a human
Mhm.
is getting more and more valuable.
Mhm. Mhm.
That if your site elicits that, triggers that, then you're really doing a good job.
Mhm.
So whatever you put out there on the website, it should elicit, trigger a share reaction. Oh, this is something that you need to see. Or, oh, my sister is looking for this. I should send her this link because it looks proper. So that people are also associating themselves with you by doing that.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
is so much more of a conversion actually than just this one deal. But everybody's focused on dollars. So on this one deal, and without any deals, right? It might not help. But and if you for instance, you don't offer any, your conversion in your case would be make an appointment or something. You are not
Mhm.
selling something directly, right? So I don't have
Right.
to. There's at this point not yet a place where I can enter my credit card, right, and buy something from
No.
you.
Mm-mm.
So what would it be a conversion? Would it be
So it would be
making an
they could
appointment?
book a call with me. Yep, they could book a call, and then
Uh,
from there we would talk about, the offer. There actually is an offer on my website, but they can't buy it directly. I don't believe they can buy it directly right now. But
mhm.
I'm gonna have you redo my website. You've been like chomping at the bit to do it for years, and I'm finally ready to. I finally put up the white flag and said, "Okay, I surrender. I surrender." You can do my website, so we're gonna do it, and then I guess we could do like a part two to this one. And I know you still have some juicy stuff to share, but we could do a. I'm just thinking we could do a part two to this video, and in that video you could show them the before and after of my websites, like where you took it from and to. So I
Yeah,
think that would be interesting to see, to kind of piece it together and walk
yeah.
them through your thinking and how you designed it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah, of course, Ed. You put up a good fight. I need to yeah, admit that.
What my
But
white
but
flag around. I'm
yeah,
waving the white flag.
so far we talked about your online presence and how this needs to be central. Um, then think of the strategic value of on offline or bricks and clicks, as they would say, bricks and mortar and
Mhm.
clicks. Business, a combination of that. Building it for an 8-year-old, right?
Mhm.
We talked about conversion versus share worthiness. So I would always aim for share worthiness first, and of
Mhm.
course you should not never impede a
Mhm.
conversion if it's not necessary, right? So
Mhm.
it's not that you should put in extra friction. The thing
Mhm.
should be so good that it can at least elicit a sharing. So that could also be very clear, and people might not be ready to buy. They might need to check the other elements of your online presence first before they want to buy something, right?
Mhm.
And you should give them that.
Mhm.
Um, Another very important thing is what I would call the I. So I is in what you say, I, Captain.
Mhm.
Um, I mentioned that whoever your audience is, consider them to be an 8-year-old.
Mhm.
But that also, let's now talk about, and we want them to share everything, but let's now talk about the people who are actually going to visit your website, right?
Mhm.
And I stands for audience, so your audiences, whether your target audiences, your groups. It might be just external people who come in randomly.
Mhm.
So that's the A of audiences. Think of all the
Mhm.
audiences you have, you want,
Mhm.
and somehow might end up on your website anyway.
Mhm.
The Y is you, yourself.
Mhm.
If you build something for someone else but you don't like it, like
Mhm.
like some piece of a dress or a suit or whatever, right? It might be very much en vogue, but if you don't feel like it's yours, then it's
Mhm.
not going to happen anyway,
Mhm.
right? So audiences, yeah,
Are you talking about it feeling like a well-tailored suit, Italian suit? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's an
um,
inside joke. He
or,
always
or, or,
he
or Cinderella slipper,
that's right. That's right. See,
yeah.
Eric is part Dutch and part Italian. And he always says, "Oh, their brand should fit them like a fine, well-fitted Italian suit." And I always say, "No, no, 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 no. It should fit her like Cinderella slipper." So,
As you say. So we have the A of audience, we have the Y of yourself, and then you
hmm
have the E of engines.
hmm
And I mentioned that I would say something more about SEO. SEO
hmm
stands for search engine optimization. Then you have
hmm
search engine advertisement, SEA. And now with AI, you have GEO, generative engine optimization, GEO.
hmm
So basically, it means the first was how we're going to make Google put me on the first page of results, right, on certain keywords and all that stuff.
hmm
We see now that at least a quarter of the audiences that matter ask ChatGPT or whatever. And so you also want to make sure that these AI systems, platforms, also understand what you do and also know your website, so that they can advise. Right? They should mention you. So if you, for instance, ask an AI about yourself, right? Eris Garcia, and they might say something about privacy, but sometimes they will give some information about you, and
hmm
where do they get that from? That would be some LinkedIn stuff, but especially something that's relevant about you, which is your own
hmm
website.
hmm
And so this is an area where it's still in development. Um, how are we gonna trigger the AI systems to put me higher up in the results, right? And I would say that this is still we haven't still figured out. There are a few things you can do, but what I would say is that if someone is looking for whatever you do, just build it and they will come. Build
hmm
something that is share worthy, that's good, that works, that looks nice, that feels nice, and make sure that it's referred to many times, right? So that it will organically rise to the surface. In search engines, still Google is still the biggest search engine, Bing or whatever you have, but also in
Do you think that'll change with AI? Do you think uh, Google will remain the top? or do you think it'll be
Um,
overtaken?
in the end, it will. Yeah, and I think that moment is closer than we
Hmm.
think.
I think so too.
That's why Google at some point, because the search engine business was, and the advertisements were their main bread and butter, right? All the other projects didn't make any money, but this was making them money.
Hmm.
And they have are heavily invested in it, right? So that's now why even Apple
Hmm.
takes AI from Google. But I would say that some elements, and this might sound strange, are similar. So what a search engine algorithm, as it's called, would look for: is it relevant? Does it have authority? So how is it? How are other people talking about it, right? And is there engagement? There are
Hmm.
multiple. There's multiple elements, but it boils down to these three things.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say that g- generically speaking, um, an AI platform does, it also looks at what can I find about this topic and how is it talked about, and so it does a similar thing,
Hmm.
basically different way, but it's also look okay. What is relevant? And in the end, most large language models that we consult, like ChatGPT, Claude, they are
Hmm.
basically prediction machines. So
Hmm.
they are predicting what would be the most relevant or what would be the next best word to place here. So they also look at averages, right? And all kinds of things. So if your site, brand name, whatever is mentioned in relation to a certain topic, a lot by people who are considered to be to have authority, then of course you're also organically put higher in the order
Hmm.
than if there would not be anybody talking about you. So that's another element. You need to tickle the algorithms, also the
Hmm.
AIs, in that sense.
Hmm.
So so first you build it for an audience. So what I would say is build it for humans first, because
Hmm.
people or machines can lead people to your website.
Hmm.
And people are saying, yeah, but if I don't, and that's also what marketing and ads and stuff do, right? They lead people to something. But if that something is not a nice party, as we like to say, then people
Hmm.
are not sharing, not buying, and they might never come back.
Hmm.
So we always use the analogy of the IPA, the invitation, the party, and the aftercare.
Hmm.
Um, SEO and advertisement and marketing cater to that first I, the invitation, invite people to somewhere.
Hmm.
And I would say that your website is the party. So if that's nice and works well and it feels like it should
Hmm.
feel,
Hmm.
um, and people afterwards they will share, they will come back, they will buy all that stuff. And so I would again argue to make sure that the humans who come on your website are catered to first.
Hmm.
You need to like it. That's the why. Because if not, people will sense it's not nice, right? You're not wearing it properly, and
Hmm.
only then the engine, which doesn't mean that it's not important, but make sure that the audience that visits your website, they in the end it's a human still doing a lot of things.
Hmm.
And only then I said AI, and so I AI.
Hmm.
Yes, there is a whole. There's this is still in development. So area. So and AI might also be used within your site. And I wanted to mention something about, but can AI build my website? Right, that's something that you hear a lot now.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I would say that I've asked several platforms, amongst which Lovable and others, to build me
Yeah.
something, do this and that, and I try to give them proper fonts. Proper prompts. Sorry,
Prompts.
prompts.
Yeah.
And and they came up with something that looks half decent.
Hmm.
However, they don't have a soul. And as
Hmm.
I said, the audience and yourself, the A and the Y, are
Hmm.
humans.
Hmm.
And we want stuff that has a soul, and it's going to be more important, because as I read today, that 50% of the current active content online is already AI created.
Hmm.
50%. uh,
50%?
50%, yeah. And
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing. It's admirable. It's also miserable.
You know
Because
what, Eric? I mean, that blows my mind. I guess I didn't realize it had grown so fast to be, 50%. I think one of the reasons why I wanted us to do this live, right? This is recorded, right? You might be when you see it, but right now we're doing this live is because I wanted it to feel natural and I wanted it to feel human, right? For us to have these conversations. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree. Sometimes, we, have ideas that we always have ideas we want to share with our community, but I had no idea that it was that much. It had covered, had taken over that much ground so quickly.
and it depends, of course, which corner of the internet you're looking for, right? As in,
Hmm.
where it's commerce, it's a lot more. The mom and pop shops are still right. So there is still this
Hmm.
the long tail of the internet is still a lot is very very much human.
Hmm.
Um, but what I meant to say is that um, people still sense, and the value of it actually goes down when something doesn't have a soul. So
Hmm.
that's why I will if you want to get some inspiration, if you want to
Hmm.
get some reference material of what a website should look like or something, by all means, ask it AI to do it, to
Hmm.
do something. I think it should be part of the whole professional process to ask it anyway, if only to
Right.
make sure that you don't forget something,
Hmm.
right? Or let it judge what you made.
Like it has its place, right? It has its
Sure,
place. I think I've heard people say, of course, we haven't done this, but I've heard people say that they use Lovable, let Lovable create the website, and then they go in and take it from there, right? So it's like a first draft, right? They let them see what they're gonna do, and then they infuse life into the website.
well, excellent. So it's a good starting point, and you should do it for reference anyway.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
However, it's as I mentioned, it's the models that we work with at the moment are prediction machines.
Hmm.
So they will predict what will probably be the most average thing based on all these statistical analysis that they do of features, words, and all that stuff. So you will
Hmm.
end up with something that even if it still feels like it has a soul, it's very bland because it's based on averages of average by something that doesn't have a soul.
Hmm.
So think
Hmm.
of it as so. If you want to be average, by all means, stick with AI.
Hmm.
If you want to, and that's fine.
Hmm.
However, be aware that more and more people are valuing HI or human intelligence. So something
Hmm.
that still, as I said, has a soul.
Hmm.
Um,
And that's
and then there's
no,
another
go
reason
ahead.
why.
Hmm.
Sorry, there's another reason why it's tricky to have stuff be created by AI, and it's also because it might create code, it might create some sort of a front end, but your website should be treated as a living thing, and it might be very hard to change things,
Hmm.
or it might be code, and you might not be a coder,
Hmm.
right? So that's where I think, yeah, sure. If you need something for one day, it's very bland, and you just need something. By all means, go for it. But if
Hmm.
you really want to curate and make sure that it should be still a human thing. And
Hmm.
it's not because we are human things with a soul that want to sell, right? But it's more because that's what you build it for, and
Hmm.
you are still a human.
But
So
let me ask you this, and this has got to take time us back to last week's session that we did on this platform, and that is, do you think that AI will start feeling more and more human?
Um, do you want the easy answer or the philosophical answer?
Give me whatever you want to give me.
Ooh, okay. Well, it's so I read about this 50%. It might be
Hmm.
49, 48, whatever. But
Hmm.
just say today, and in the same piece, it was telling about how basically the models they always say it has been trained on this and this data, right? But what they're also saying that they basically already have put in everything that we created as humans already.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that a lot of these new models are actually trained on what they call synthetic material, so material that
Mm-hmm.
has been created by other AI platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, and people might also, excuse me, I've heard of about hallucination, and that at least 30 to 40% of the answers are not right or not fully correct or right. Um, these prediction machines, they look in a lot of training data and of
Mm-hmm.
content, and they have a context with their answer.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever that data, the result of that process is used without its context and its thinking process by others, it's the same as if you said, I believe green is a better color. And then some people said, green is a better color. And someone else said, but you had a whole reason behind why it was green. And now at some point, it
They've
leads its own
lost
life.
that. Yeah, they lost that part.
And they basically call it the infantilization of AI. So artificial infantilization is that it is really making the system bad very fast,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually polluting the data. So because this new data might also enter up on the internet and be used as training data, as training. So it's very hard to with that training data to say that it is artificial, because there are
Mm-hmm.
no conventions on that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I would actually argue that AI is going to be smarter and more stupid at the same time in
Mm-hmm.
the future, and because it can't make the proper distinction between, is this real human data that I should cater to, or is this artificial data, and it's
Mm-hmm.
already taking its toll.
Mm-hmm.
Will it, of course, if more humans are using stuff, and let's forget for the moment this infantilization thing. Yes, of course it will get better, right? As we have seen over the past years, right? It became from
Mm-hmm.
very up, and now it can do proper sentences and
Mm-hmm.
proper things, and it might say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, Edge, your idea is amazing," or this
Mm-hmm.
website that I just created for you, it's the best of the best, right?
Yes.
So in that sense, but I still think that, and that gives me hope, is that humans are we still have that sense where it's saying, hmm, is it really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think the humans, the humanness will still prevail. What I would argue is that if you use AI properly for all other things in your business, you
Mm-hmm.
might have actually the time to spend some extra time and attention on having the human element of a website
Mm-hmm.
done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I hope that isn't some sort
Well
of an
said.
answer.
Nope, that was well said. Well said. Yeah.
Um, so I still have very few things. So I cater to the audience, yourself, the engines,
Mm-hmm.
the 8-year-old. But I wanted to get back for a moment to this one page, or this landing page that
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned. Think
Mm-hmm.
of a landing page as a red carpet that is rolled out. So you can make landing pages for certain audiences,
Mm-hmm.
certain keywords, for certain events. You can make it you can have
Mm-hmm.
a whole web of like a bunch of flowers
Mm-hmm.
that bloom towards a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
However, at some point you want to bring
What
things
to lead
together.
it to. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that could be like, not only might it be the call to action, the CTA,
Mm-hmm.
or book a call or whatever, but think of it as if your my website would be it's concierge.com, right? Um, Most people will land on my homepage anyway, because that's where
Mm-hmm.
the URL would lead to.
Mm-hmm.
And as they said, on average, 60 to 80% of visitors never goes beyond the homepage. So you might have a myriad pages, and most people would still go there. So what does that mean? It means that your homepage needs to be this executive summary. It needs to have all the important
Mm-hmm.
elements so that even if they would not go beyond, which most don't
Mm-hmm.
do, it would still be share worthy. It would still do that.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, you will have a one-page website for 60% of
Mm-hmm.
the people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and okay, you could now say, oh, but oh, okay, so it needs to have everything. Well, I would just start with a simple question. So that's why we are not showing any websites. This is stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you can do on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
It's if people would only see your website, your homepage, what do you want them to take away from it? What do you want them to remember from their visit? In
Mm-hmm.
terms of the feeling, but also the essence, or what does it need?
Mm-hmm.
So that it needs to have that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it needs to have all the other important parts. It needs to put in a different order on that homepage too.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Mm-hmm.
said, we won't show anything now, but there is a certain order to these things.
Right, right. How you, I mean, I've learned a lot about, I don't design websites, but I help with the content, the messaging, and helping to build the brand. But I really like the way you design, like you design it, like and the way you think it through and you do the wireframing for the website and how everything connects to it's all connected, right? How everything connects back to it. And the fact that you called the homepage the executive summary, that's exactly what it is, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So if they
Well,
don't
and
go past that, they get what they need. If they just, you know, need to, if you want them to fully understand what it is, they can get that from the homepage. And then if they want to go deeper, they can go deeper.
yes, and as said, it needs to be catered to the 8-year-old, right? So
Hmm.
you might do 1,000 things, or you can do 1,000 things, but 8-year-old can't handle that on small screens.
Hmm.
So there is also an art to putting things behind things to still get them to where. So there the whole user interface and the experience how it's done. But I would say, Ange, that you might not design, but you bring the soul to the designs we do. So
Hmm.
you make sure that it's very much human. It's very much the warmth and the information. And where I use a lot of words, as people have noticed by now, you always keep bring it back to the essence of what should it do, how does
And
it
I
make
like it to
money?
tell, I
Yeah,
wanted to tell a story. I
I'll
wanted
do.
to take people on a journey or tell them a story uh, when we're doing that, whether it's showing up in the colors that's used, the fonts, and then of course the messaging.
And while we mentioned that every self-respecting professional should at least have some sort of that. While you need it, you might as well have some fun with it, right? And make sure
Hmm.
that it is. And as we also noticed that with using AI, you got a little bit of extra time and mental space to also work on it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's very much doable. A very nerdy point on this I wanted to mention is
Hmm.
something that we always think a lot about is um, the menus, for instance, right? The top menus on a website. I would, and I won't go into too much detail, but there are different types of visitors. Some people use a search bar, some go directly to this, some to do that, some are pictorial thinkers. But every site basically has some sort of a menu structure.
Hmm.
And a lot of thinking goes into what should be there because you can't have like a zillion options.
Hmm. Although we have seen websites that have a gazillion options.
It's yeah, but we can also do that. But we
Yeah.
can't leave that out. Well, then we have to figure out an artful way to put it
Hmm.
somewhere else, right? Or
Hmm.
reroute these things.
Hmm.
So I would always argue that you should never have more than 5 or 6 elements up there, preferably 3 or 4. And that's can be a challenge, right? Another thing that I would say is that of all the millions of sites, in essence, there are only 5, 6 main menu structures that it will end up. And one of the things that I would always argue is never start talking about yourself.
Hmm.
Most websites, really most, they didn't know about this I first for the audience, then for you. They started about talking about themselves.
Hmm.
That's also why they're not making a lot of money from it,
Hmm.
right? They're start
Hmm.
talking about themselves. This is what we do.
Hmm.
Of course, yeah, this is the value. The value that you can have for people needs to be presented in some way. But think about the visitor first. They need to feel at home. They need to feel heard, taken care of, respected, all that stuff. So, in essence, I would say that the about you should name
Hmm.
it differently, but it should always come penultimate before a call to
Hmm.
action or something like that.
Hmm.
Because you would think of people would first want to recognize themselves or the problem, then some sort of a solution, then some sort of proof, and only then, oh, who can I buy this from? Anyway,
Mhm.
I digress a little bit too much, but there. So what I'm saying is that all these like in story, right? A lot of all these stories, the millions of stories, a lot harken back to the story arc of the hero's journey, right?
Mhm.
And then, but there might be a few of these basic structures
Mhm.
that all stories have in essence. That all they
Mhm.
share. And the same is true for websites, where I would say then also add never start to talk about yourself first. Um, and then lastly, I want to people want to know what does this cost, how much time, all this stuff, right? So let's get into the very practical things of a website. What do you need to give you a frame of reference whenever budgeting it or judging someone's offer? We
Mhm.
might get a lot of offers these days from app developers, and you might think of, oh, but Lovable is free, right? Why
Mhm.
should I pay a website developer? So think of it like this. So let's first talk about where. So your website lives somewhere, lives on someone else's on some server,
Mhm.
um, and then it is built with something, right? And you
Mhm.
could basically, I would say there are four or five main types. There is the fully custom coded thing,
Mhm.
which I would say that the lovable things are also coded in a way, right? So it's very
Mhm.
much done specifically. And these might actually be very hard to change yourself. They're
Mhm.
also more expensive on average. They are more fill prone because they are precise,
Right.
right? So you want to have something that's more robust, and that caters to your budget, that you can change yourself. So
Mhm.
the customized, the coded website is there. And everything in the beginning was very much coded, right? And then came things like WordPress and other things. So then I would say you have WordPress, which is
Mhm.
a system that people would argue, but it's around 60% of current active websites are built of some sort of WordPress basis. Well, it used to be a blog platform that escalated into things, and on that they might now have all these editors like Elementor, so where it feels like it's what you see is what you get kind of thing, where
Yes.
you place things together, but it
Mhm.
has a WordPress base.
That's what I have. I have the WordPress, and I know you know
I'm
that's not your
pressed.
preference.
I'm word pressed to say that I would not do it if you don't have to.
Yes,
And
yes.
the reason is because yes, it can do a lot, and there's a lot of plugins and stuff
It's
like.
not really user friendly. It's not as easy to work with. And I honestly, I don't change things on my website. I always have either you do it or somebody else do it because it's just not. It's just a lot.
Well, I would say that because there are about 60% of the website has been built on WordPress, there are a lot of people who know a little bit of WordPress,
Mm-hmm.
and you will have fans, you have people who hate it. I would say it's just there are too many
Mm-hmm.
mechanic elements like plugins that might be out of date, or there are too many moving parts that
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to attend to. And I would even say that the W of WordPress refers to Windows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Windows computers compared to Mac computers, you
Mm-hmm.
can right out of the box you can do more. There are more things you can do on average.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means there are more things to worry about. The W of WordPress worrying Windows is that and it's less elegant, and
Mm-hmm.
that has to be said. So I would say, what do you actually need? And I think that
Mm-hmm.
most people need something that always works, that is easy to change. If you're in the middle of the night, you wake up sweating. Oh, I forgot some word, or the comma is in the wrong place. You should be able to do
You can easily
to do.
change it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and not be dependent on some nerd in Amsterdam,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the reality for a lot of entrepreneurs. The website is not my main profession, right? They might
Mm-hmm.
feel it's too complicated and stuff like that. So you need something that is simple. And now I come to the third thing, and that is what you see is what you get. Content management system, CMS,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the Wixes, the Squarespaces that we use. and they are very user friendly. Yes, you might, and I would compare them a little bit to Macs, right? To MacBooks and stuff, but where yes, you right out of the box, it can't do everything, but it does what it does. It does usually very well, right? And the chances of making it not work or failing are very slim. So that's why I would say that it's very robust, it's resilient to do all these things, and that's also why 10 years ago I transferred from WordPress to Squarespace, and that all our the websites that we built are built on Squarespace. And which means that besides that the cost is pretty decent, it means that it always works. Mobile, desktop. Yes, if you want some very fancy things, you still need a nerd to do some extra coding and stuff, but that's very much doable. There are also a lot of plugins, but it always works. And you don't have it's directly online. You don't need to do all kinds of other stuff. It always works. And Wix, in some sense, too, there are some slight differences. Um, I'm biased, of course,
Yeah,
but
I feel like it's not, but I think about Wix. I'm like, I don't want a Wix website. But I
yeah,
know
it's
it's gotten better. I know it's gotten much better than when it first came out.
sure, and I would always I would always place it next to a WordPress. Then by all means, go to that, because right out of the box it does whatever you want to do for
Mhm.
80 to 90% of the website owners. It just does it.
Yes.
Um, yes, so custom coding. Then you have WordPress, which is still on some other platform, but it has a lot of moving parts,
Hmm.
and then and a lot of failure points. And then you have something which is a very which is like the what you see is what you get. The
Hmm.
WYSIWYG editors like Wix, Squarespace, and there are some others. That's the basic the field, and yeah, I'm biased, but I would
Hmm.
say that for most people, the what you see is what you get things are more than enough, and with
Hmm.
some slight coding, you can still make everything move very nicely and
Hmm.
and do all that. So and that's it's getting all better. I would
Hmm.
not go for a custom coded website unless you have a very large budget and very specific things. And there are designers that use Webflow, and it's a very nice thing. But it's the same as that you need a proper nerd next to
Hmm.
you to do almost everything
Hmm.
beyond changing some text.
Hmm.
So yeah, look at what do you need, what do you want, and as said, we can make a lot of things within Squarespace with some extra coding. So, but you don't. In the end, you can change mostly or almost everything yourself, and I think that's the most important thing. So that's the where. Then there is the when, and I would say that a website should be built on with an horizon of 3 to 5 years in mind, and
Hmm.
that's still also because you don't want to do that every year, right? You don't have
Not
it.
not nine, not 9 to 10 years.
Some people have an ageless class, also in their website. No, but in essence, you don't want to. If it's done properly, you don't need to.
Mhm.
However, as said, it's a living thing. You need to give it some TLC
Yeah, when we were
and change
talking
those.
earlier today about one of our clients' websites, you said her website is good. It just kind of needs a refresh. It needs a new jacket. Like I think that's what you
Yeah,
said, right? A new blazer or something like that. It just needs a
blow,
little
blow, blow, blow
refresh.
the dust off and just give it a
Hmm.
little bit of and also because the taste and what we're used to changes. So
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
but it still does what it needs to do. Oh, it's
Hmm.
4 to 5 years old.
Hmm.
However, we can make it a little bit fresh. But that
Hmm.
I think 4 or 5 years later, that's a pretty decent also in terms of
Hmm.
cost and
Right.
well,
That was
everybody who takes their business seriously needs to understand that everything they take some time. You also need to
right.
repaint your shop or your the storefront. So it's think of the same thing. So that's
But
the
that was a good
horizon.
investment for her business. That was a good investment. That this lasted
Did I
this long.
did I make you sleepy, Ange? Did I
I'm
make you
sorry.
sleep?
I'm sorry.
It's boring stuff, people. It's boring stuff.
He's a nerd,
Um,
guys. He's a nerd.
well. everything I mentioned makes sense. It's something that you could think of without having to open up a screen, right? So the time horizon is 3 to 5 years. Then the building of the website should be from a week to, let's say, 3 months time max, depending on if you have a full e-commerce thing with thousands of products. Of course it's slightly different, right?
Mhm.
And I would say, I forgot to mention, that I would also go for Shopify as the
Oh
basic
yeah.
but if you have, let's say, two till 100 200 products, I would say that Squarespace is still a good one.
Mhm.
And then how much does it cost? So the most juiciest thing for the last, right? And I've heard people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, 50K,
Mhm.
20K, whatever. Again, it depends on what you want and what you need.
Mhm.
Of course, for e-commerce store where it is your business, it
Mhm.
it costs more, and it is also allowed to cost more because otherwise you would have a shop which also costs money. If you just want to have a representative website that works, I would say that you can
Mhm.
go as low as 3K. It can go lower, and there was always someone who can do it for. But I would say that the most important thing to go for it is, does it have the soul in
Mhm.
a proper setting.
Mhm.
And it also means that sometimes you should think of context, like copy, the content creation, the images, the videos, and all that stuff. So you have the website, but you need content on the website, right? And the whole thinking of the structuring and how can we make it more elegant. That is actually where the juice and the value is, and that's why you can't properly. There are successes, of course. Ask someone from Fiverr to do it. There
Mhm.
are good people on there, but it should reflect how serious you take yourself.
Mhm.
And if your budget is 1,000, for instance, by all means, do what you need to do with for 1,000, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you can spare it, and you want to make sure that you're great for the next 3 to even 6 years, then you need to at least be willing to spend, let's say, 5 to 15K, depending
Mhm.
on that, and also take into consideration maintenance. So what we always do is say, you buy a website plus a year of service, right? So that you
Mhm.
get it, because you don't want to have it's like these the shake off cruise, right? When
Mhm.
you when people go for a quick spin on their bike to see
Mhm.
what's rambling, what can we leave, what we can leave off. And so usually whenever a site is launched, um, you still need to be in contact with the builder, to fine tune things,
Right.
and do things, and to chat, and also try to make some sort of a quarterly or a half yearly
Mhm.
update thing. And what are we gonna work with the seasons, for instance, right? Are we gonna do something with that?
Right. Right.
And that's also how you should judge a website builder. Is it someone who just drops it and then leaves, or is it
Mhm.
more of a strategic partner like we do?
Mhm.
And so yeah, depending on maintenance and all that stuff, yeah, that it's different for anybody. So it's hard to put a cost on that.
Mhm.
But I think that our website started there somewhere around 5 to 7K, which includes all the strategy, usually also a lot of the content as well, a lot of
Mhm.
the branding and all this stuff, because you need to have those
Yeah.
elements
Yeah.
to do the rest as well.
Yeah. And
Um,
I say, from our approach is we would build out the brand first because would, you know, um, that would inform how you would do how you build the website and all those other assets, right? And just to kind of give you context, when I had my website done almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I paid $10,000 almost. And you're like, you should have let me do it. But I was really pleased with, what was done. And I'm still very proud of what it is, but I know that it needs to be more current. And, but the price point can vary, but I didn't just pay for the website. I also
Mhm.
paid for, building out the brand. So that was important to me.
But also for context to the people, your website is not awful. It's a great site. It is
Hmm.
it's still timeless. So you can see that someone who knows what they're doing has made it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And for that time, I think that price point was not indecent.
Right. It
Um,
wasn't
I,
unusual.
yeah, so I think you did you made a good decision at that point with what you knew.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that the more people know about the things that we just discussed over the past hour,
Hmm.
it's an hour already, and there are more things. But these are all things that you, as an entrepreneur, you should think about strategy, and sometimes then have a nerd or someone else do a lot of
Hmm.
the execution.
Hmm.
But even if you work with like Squares and stuff, you can do a lot yourself.
Hmm. And
But
let me just say, I absolutely love the brand strategist and the design team that worked on my project. Actually, one of the members is now a part of my team, so I absolutely love them. So I'm not throwing any shade. I just want to make
no,
that clear.
they did a great job.
Yeah,
So
and one of the reasons why I haven't changed it in so long is because I really did love what they did, and I felt like it was me. Does fit me very well. It just now it's time to update, do an update.
yeah. So anyway, I don't want to, how you say, you don't want to throw shade on someone else's work, especially when it's done well.
Hmm.
But time moves on, right? So same as with
Hmm.
clothing, sometimes you need there's some dust on it, so let's
Hmm.
do that. But
Hmm.
what I wanted to stress is that whatever I mentioned about how to look at these things, this is also what you should take into account when hiring someone, right? If
Hmm.
you have thought about these things, you can prompt any designer better, right? We all
Hmm.
know that the result of AI, for instance, the magic sits in the front, the prompt and everything that you load it with, right?
Hmm.
And I think that if you can answer all these questions, and you've thought about it, you know what they're talking about, you know whether they know what they're doing. You can feed them with I expect this, I want that, I want that. And with that, you make sure that it's probably it has a higher chance of being a success. You're not
Hmm.
overpaying, so that's what we want, right? We want to make sure that people are come a little bit prepared. You
Hmm.
don't have to be a nerd to give a proper prompt, so to say,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and um, and also to understand that the websites are still very much relevant
Hmm.
because that's what we
Yes.
started with, right?
So
So
that's where we started. That's where we started. I guess we've come full circle now. Um, I I'm glad that you went in so deeply. I think I would recommend anyone who's watching this video, you may want to watch it a few times because Eric did drop several gems, a whole bunch of gems along the way. And I like what you just said about how, if you know, if they're in the area of getting ready to design their website or redesign their website, to think about these things, right? To give these things some thought as they're creating that. So it's nice to have a nerd around and can go deep on these things. So thank you for that. Any final words you want to say? Now, I started off like, I don't absolutely have to have a website. My website's not really making me money. I make money other ways. But then you dropped a bomb on me and you said, but how you made hundreds of thousands of dollars, but how much more could you have made if your website was
yeah,
doing
that's an
better?
easy one, right? Yeah. Hmm.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
So any closing, anything else you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Well, first of all, I want to ask you: are our websites still relevant now that you
They're
heard all of
relevant. They're relevant. Yes, yes. I want to have online real estate, and definitely want them for
it?
credibility.
Yeah. Thank you, Ames. So
And I want
I
all
don't.
my clients. I want my clients to have that, right? I want them to have all the assets that support their brand.
Yeah, I don't have anything memorable in mind as last words, but I just want to say that this is something that can work for you 24/7, wherever you are. And you don't have to be in the room.
Mhm.
Think of it as when you come in, people already, you set the expectations of when they come in. And I think that every professional these days should at least have some sort of grasp on their online presence. And this is an easy and also an affordable way of getting your own, starting your own real estate, online real estate, and making sure that whatever comes up or whatever the AI spits out is in your favor.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Perfect. And with that, I will thank you all for tuning in. Next session, we're going to be talking about one of our very favorite topics, and that is
The brand archetypes.
brand archetypes. We're going deep on brand archetypes in our next session. You don't want to miss it. It's something that we are really known for doing, and we have a lot of fun with it. And not only will you be introduced to brand archetypes, you might be introduced to a level of yourself that you didn't even know was there. So with that, I want to thank you, Eric Garcia, for
Thank
joining
you, Ange.
me tonight with Brilliant and Branded with Ange and Eric. It's always fun having a conversation with you. I'm always ready to put up my dukes to have a really heated conversation, but you come with the voice of reason and then all of your knowledge, and I'm like, okay. But it was great hanging out with you, and I'll see you next time. And for all of you who are watching us, thanks for watching. Go out there, be bold, be brave, and be brilliant, because you absolutely are. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye.